he's confessing to each one of them. The Vikings was the Via Kings, vicarious kings of the high seas. They were Templars. And the Templars were the guardians of the bloodlines of the Holy Grail. Just like they was looking for him in them Dan Brown movies. The Templar that they killed to try to get him to give him the sacred word was called Jean de Molay. He was killed in France. And that's what the Eiffel Tower was a commemoration of. Is France fell when they killed him and didn't get the password. The password was the secret word that would awaken Hiram. But it wasn't never a word to begin with. It was the name. But the name was always openly in plain sight, and that's why they could never figure it out, because it was in plain sight out in the open. And so the Vikings, who were the Templars, who helped the seed of Scotta, who settled Scotland, they connected with the Norsemen. The Norsemen were the Vikings. They were the Templars of the North. They were the Templars of the North who were servants of the Queen of the North, or the Ice Princess, or the Ice Queen of the North, who we know in Kemet as Isis. And it was her son that the Norsemen called Loki, who we know as Heru in Kemet. We know him as Heru, but in the Norse mythology, they have him subservient to Thor, who we call Set. Because you got to remember, before Heru came to power to rule, it's the same as Loki. It's just a different part of the story being told. Loki would eventually come to rule as he is now. The same as Heru eventually came in the story to rule. The reason why there's a difference is who's hooked up to who nervous systems, though? In 1966, you talking about Hal the computer? Okay, so where was I going on that? You keep trying to put me off with that one. Belgium, 1966. Computer was hooked up to his nervous system. Yeah, that's the same time that Barack Obama was born in the Dakota House in New York when the Pope came over here. And that's why they couldn't find his birth certificate. They didn't know that was Barack Obama that they called Rosemary's Baby and Damien. But I'm going to let it be known, because I don't give a shit about none of them, because they don't give a shit about me. So Barack Obama was the one. That's why he got that fabricated birth certificate. That birth certificate was proven false 2 weeks after they presented it. His real birth date is June 6, 1966, born in Dakota House. Malachi York wrote about him. He didn't even know it was Barack. The story is told in Rosemary Baby, Demon Seed, and Omen 1, 2, and 3. Especially the ones from the 70s. That one really go in and explain who this coward is. Tell you who he is. We all got, see, the whole, Rosemary. The sprout of the rebellious woman. The resurrection of the rebellious woman. But look, Barack was the son of the jackal. Got to look at that in the movies. In Rosemary Baby, he was the son of the jackal. And in the Omen, they found out Damien was the son of the jackal. Go back to Egypt. Who's the jackal? And it's Anubis. It's Anubis. See, his whole thing, Anubis, he was supposed to be the jackal. So he was going to try to sneak in as Hecate and take in rulership behind that move that old man Bush tried to lay down. The move old man Bush laid down is written about in Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper, where he tell you how he had passed that law that I did look up, and it is on the books, that made him King George I of the United States. And I got you, Rabbi. So, that's all tying back into the judgment and the wisdom. Because if you can't see it, you will never be able to unravel the mystery of who you are. If you don't know who you are, you can't never get to where you're supposed to be. You can't never get to the point where it'll unravel. It's a trick. It's an optical illusion. It's right in front of your face, but slightly out of view. It's an optical illusion. It's that little prism thing that you have to turn and make it take on a different shape until you get it to line up right for you to get the perfect shape. That's what it is. That's all it is. Everything is there. It's not hidden from you. It's told to you with a slant. And that slant keeps it slightly out of view. And as long as it's slightly out of view, you can't never connect the dots. So that's why you have to, and that's why you have to learn how to see it 3-dimensionally, 4th-dimensionally, 5th-dimensionally. While they playing 3-dimensional chess, you need to be on 5th dimension. When they move up to the 5th dimension, you need to be on the 9th dimension. So once you understand that the conflict of interest is irreconcilable because they're not going to just give up the bar. They're not going to give up the bar. And then you, being represented by the Constitution, supposed to be protected from them nobles under the titles of nobility. Then you go back to the inalienable right because they treat you like you're a 3/5 compromise if you 5/5 realize. That means that if you know that you don't that you have an absolute right to refuse them to have jurisdiction over you. As long as you acknowledge that you are only under the rule of Christ as one of the chosen of the righteous, they have no more jurisdiction over you. You can call me in there. I'll come down there and discuss it with them for you. Right there in their face. And so, this the whole thing is, it's a trick. All law is commercial. If all law is commercial, that means it's for sale. When you go into the church court, you ask them how much. What you mean? When they say how you plead, how much? Because that's what they're asking you for. They're asking you to tie into this money wagon. But you ain't going to get none. You ain't going to get none. They're going to keep it all for themselves. They're going to keep your share and split it among themselves with the shares that they already got coming. I done already posted on my page the judge telling you himself how they use this court system to auction us and barter and trade us for money. So you have to be aware of how to present it. If you challenge jurisdiction, you don't have to prove to them anything. They have to show you jurisdiction. But every question that you ask, they have to answer it to verify that they have jurisdiction over you. And your questions are simple. The question is are you a member of the bar? Are you an honorable and esquire? If you're an honorable and esquire, that means you have a title of nobility. Are you under the Constitution of the United States? And are you an Article 3 judge? If they're not an Article 3 judge, which none of them are unless they're a federal judge, in which case they shouldn't have a title of nobility, unless they're a fraudulent federal judge. But anyway, when you ask them if they're an Article 3 judge and they say no, that means that you are an adjunct judge, right? Well, you have no authority over me as an adjunct judge, seeing that this is a matter of subject between barristers. It don't got nothing to do with me. Y'all can keep y'all subject matter. Excuse me. They keep subject matter. You can't argue that because you're not a barrister. But you can tell them they don't have the jurisdiction of the person. This is where your inalienable rights come in. This is free will universe. And I can prove this using my mystic studies. You do not have to surrender your will to anybody outside of yourself. These are the inalienable rights. Once they call you in there and you tell them to show you how they have jurisdiction over the physical person, and the physical person is to be separated from the subject matter, now they have to figure out how to capture you, no, not as a straw man, but as a physical human. That's the trick. See, we want to go in and argue their law with their law. That's foolish. We don't got nothing to do with their law. That's their subject matter. All of their statutes, laws, and policies, that's subject matter. You only argue in the jurisdiction of the person, because when you become fully realized God's self, you have first claim of right to your lot, to your tract of land that they conned you out of. Contract, land, lot, body, atom, dust of the earth. Only time you don't have claim of that is when you are not realized. That's why I said 5/5 realized trumps 3/5 compromise. As long as you 3/5 compromise, you are under their subject matter. You a thumb drive. That's all you are to them. You a thumb drive. You are a organic nanobot with information on it. You binary code. You are a thumb drive. But when you become realized, then you own the thumb drive. You become what they call holder in due course, carrying first claim of right under the direction and order of the Christ, the Son of Man. When you tell them that, they have to show how they have a superior claim of right over you, over the Christ. They have to state it on the record if they have a superior claim over you, over the Christ. They have to show you how their claim is higher than the claim of Christ. That's what inalienable rights is talking about. Man, God-given inalienable rights. God gave them to you. You have to exercise them. They have to explain to you how their jurisdiction in your physical body and your soul is subject to their authority before Christ, right? Well, they might try to run the game on you and say, well, Christ ain't here. Say, yeah, she's here, but she sent her son, the Son of Man, to argue my case. That's what you tell them. And then you let me know and I can come down and argue your case. But you have to be competent. Because in law, the only reason why you need a lawyer is because you are ruled as an imbecile, an incompetent. You are either black or white in court. Both of those terms are subjective to you being incompetent. If they call you white in court, it ain't no different than calling you black in court. All of them goes back to you being incompetent, being an imbecile, unable to exercise your inalienable God-given rights. I'm here to return your inalienable God-given rights back to you. And you have to understand how it works. If you don't question the jurisdiction of the person, they can do what they want to you because you 3/5 compromise. When you 5/5 realize, when you understand your God self, if you need to have a class, set it up, I'll teach it. When you need to understand your God self, when you understand your God self and your God status, then they cannot hold you in reprisal for the debt. They're not holding you for a criminal act. They're not holding you for harm to others, no matter what the crime is. That's not what they're holding you for. Whatever they charge you with is not what they're holding you for. They're holding you for a debt, a reprisal for a debt. None of the cases are true. They all set up on a fabricated corporate doctrine of oppression and theft. They stealing the money of all of the people in this nation using this fictitious corporation. They set it up at the close of the age, and it took effect in 1984, the same year Rex 84 came out, the same year predicted by George Orwell, the same year that, or the year after Farrakhan dropped The Time Dictates the Agenda. So you knew in 1884 what was coming up. If you could read the sign. Excuse me, y'all. So the whole thing now is, where do we go from here? It's real simple. There's been a person declared righteous from the crown of heaven. And that's the minister Louis Farrakhan. The judgment of Minister Farrakhan, he went first. I got to tell you, he went first. That means that he is now what you call in law the standard of review. And so, Judgment Day commences whenever he is condemned. Whenever he is condemned, I gotta give it to him, but I can't hold it in. I gotta put it out there. I'm supposed to be going more in detail with the nation ministers though, but I'm waiting on them to get in touch with me. I ain't hearing nothing yet. So, but I'm supposed to tell them about Malcolm and Khalid and then show them the videos and all that stuff to show them what I'm talking about. But if they don't really want to know, I can't force it on them. Anyway, so where was I? He got me off track again. That's the second time he did that. So anyway, we gotta support Farrakhan. So if let's say the Nubians, they can put a picture of Malachi on the back of their shirt, right? You know, in the front, it'll say hashtag we are Farrakhan, hashtag be of the righteous, right? That'll be on the front of the shirt, and on the back they'll have Dr. York, and then like I said, like at the top it might say free Dr. York, and might have one of his sayings on there at the bottom about freedom, like Mandela was locked up 27 years because Mandela people left him locked up 27 years. Malachi Z. York. Put that on the back of his shirt. Yep, we are Farrakhan. That's the Nation of Islam call to righteousness. We are Farrakhan. That's the slogan they chose to use as the call to righteousness. We are Farrakhan. So let's say that you was a Hell's Angel. Because, see, they live by a code and they follow their code. So they would be classified as righteous too for following their code. And they will have their judgment coming up. And I would be proud to tell them how their new structure going to be. But like, let's say they Hell's Angels and they can have the Hell's Angels denim jacket on. But they can have a t-shirt on the front of it that can say hashtag we are Farrakhan. Hashtag be of the righteous. Yep, be of the righteous. And from there, when we start getting enough people to understand what's going on, then we're going to start snapping out of the slumber. We're going to start snapping out of that slumber state, right? That slumber state. Long as we're in that slumber state, we're going to keep getting killed by the police. We're going to keep killing each other in the street like animals. We got to snap out of it. The 100 monkey effect is what we're trying to achieve. The 100 monkey effect, well, it's going to take a little bit more than actual 100 humans, because the 100 monkey effect, it was only like probably about 2,000 of those monkeys that the 100 monkey effect affected. So it's going to be a larger number of humans needed to have the same effect. It's the same effect as it's hiving for the women. See, if I could get a group of women that that was ready to meet and teach them how to hive, then they can spread it. It would work so much faster. But I got to go the slow route because the people got to be ready at a slow pace. That's not my fault. So when they hive, they create a network, an energy grid. And then each one of them will go out and hive with another group. That'll constantly spread the hive. Like when you look on the movies, how do they show it? They show a little spark of light on the planet from outer space, and then that spark will get bigger, then they connect like electricity. Then before you know it, it's covering the whole planet. Yeah. Anyway, so the goal now is the rally call to the righteous, because you got somebody that then declared righteous by heaven. That sets it all off. As soon as they call, because they can call Judgment Day.